Well, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Now I'm going to talk about Israel Kirzner on dynamic efficiency and development economics. I'm from Santiago de Chile. I'm making my PhD in economics with Professor Jesús Huerta de Soto in Universidad Rey Juan Carlos de Madrid. And this paper is the second chapter of my PhD thesis. The goal of the article is to show that dynamic efficiency is the forgotten piece in Kirznerian theory of entrepreneurship, which cannot be excluded without impairing his hypothesis of development economics. First of all, we have to define what dynamic or static efficiency means, because in the mainstream literature we see a lot of people that make dynamic models or static models, but what it really means. For Kirzner, static efficiency means that inexorably implied in the given configuration of human preference and constraint, and then of end and means, makes a choice mechanical or automatic and thus not a true choice, because in the static efficiency for the Austrian School of Economics all information is given. For example, in the last presentation, I saw dynamic efficiency, dynamic inefficiency, but the information is of the mathematical formulation is given. So it's not human creativity and not entrepreneurship, just social engineering in the point of view of Israel Kirzner. So we have to understand that we have to come back to the pioneers of a static efficiency approach, the mechanical or social engineers in economics. For example, we have Stanley Gibbons, Leon Walras, Francis Edgeworth, Irving Fisher, Wilfredo Pareto, Alfred Marshall, among many others. And according to Philip Mirowski, the works of those economists reveal that they copied the physical mathematics literally term for term. And then who made the static efficiency approach popular in the mainstream approach was Lionel Robbins, who said that the goal of economics is to allocate the research in the given research as the allocation of the given research. So to do that, you are assuming that all the information is given, because you have the means and you, the government or the economists, can make an allocation of the research efficiently. So the role of economists here is like a social engineering, because if you have all the information given, you can allocate the input, the output, because of the mathematical reductionism. That's why the mainstream development economics is based in words of Albert Hirschman is the going from one equilibrium to a better one. And to do that, you need the government intervention. And in the contemporary development economics, we can read, for example, Jeffrey Sachs, who is the director of the Human Nation Development United Nations Millennium Project, and a renowned economist at Columbia University. He said that to solve the poverty in the world is very easy. The only thing that we have to do is make a plan by the expert of the United Nations, obviously, and gives foreign aid to the poor countries. Yeah. So if I can design politics for specifically for each country and implement it by foreign aid, the poverty will be eliminated in the world. If we saw the history, for example, in Africa, they have received foreign aid for more than 60 years, and the situation is the same, and in some countries it's worse. So the social engineering don't work as the mathematical formulation assume. So we have to solve a problem. And Israel Kirzner offered his theory of entrepreneurship to solve that problem of static efficiency of mainstream economics and mainstream development economics, based in the Mises and Hayek approach. From Mises, for example, in Human Action, Kirzner take the definition of economics and the role of economics, that is, they make the world intelligible in terms of purposeful human action. So what's the difference between the Austrian school and the mainstream one is that the mainstream are based only in mathematical formulation and a posteriori view, because they use the positivist method. But the problem with that is you ignore the essences or the nature of the economic phenomena, that is the individual human action, the purposeful human action. So Mises say that you can understand the world or the economic phenomena if you can't go back to the individual human action, because we are the protagonists of the social phenomena. Second, human action is the natural capacity of all human beings to be creative and to perceive profit opportunity in the world and act accordingly to make a profit, a subjective profit. And third, the market is a process open for all creative opportunity of human action. And from Hayek, Kirzner take for the book Control Revolution of Science that definition of economics too, that is a part of make the world intelligible in terms of purpose of human action. Also, you must analyze the unintended consequences generated by human action, because if I know the result of human action, it's not a scientific question to answer. Yeah. So Hayek said that just because the human action makes an unintended consequence is why a scientific question rise, and it's interesting study economics. And second, from Economic and Knowledge, a paper of Hayek 1937, Hayek said that human action is the main feature of human action is the determinacy and unpredictability of human action, because human action is a process of learning by doing, yeah, because of our experience past experience of life, and then our expectation about the future. Okay. And third, from the use of knowledge in society, Kirzner takes from Hayek that the price system is the signal that make human action or entrepreneurship or the creative capacity of whole human being to direct our intellect till the other needs. Yeah. If we don't have price system, we are like completely in the dark. So the price system makes possible the plan coordination from the entrepreneurship with the other needs. So from this, author Kirzner offers his term alertness. Alertness is the to create something in the future from the perception of the entrepreneurs of the other needs. This alertness go outside of the box of the mainstream framework, and also entrepreneurs act in a fog of ignorance because I perceive opportunities, but I don't know if I will success, because you have in the real world the entrepreneur error, and on the other side in the mainstream you don't have error because you have all the information. And also you don't have human action in a mathematical model. So in alertness and the creativity alertness, you have two aspects. On one side is the ordinary creativity. That is from the knowledge that I have, with the means that I have, I want to make the things better. And on the other side, we have the extraordinary creativity, that is a prospect vision about the future needs. That is the creative destruction of the Schumpeterian approach. So the dynamic efficiency from the Austrian School of Economics that Kirzner offers is that in a free market, in a free entrepreneurship market, the dynamic efficiency is that the only way to success like an entrepreneur, like a human being, the only way is to direct our intellect continually to resolve the human needs. Because if I don't do that, it's impossible to success. Sorry?
Just create artificial needs.
Okay, let's finish the lecture.
Yeah, that's why not all of us are entrepreneurs, and not all of us are successful entrepreneurs, because you have to create and make a prospective vision about the human needs. So, to have a dynamic efficiency, Kirzner said that you have free entry. And another side is private property and rule of law. And then I take the the actual economists that follow Kirzner approach. For example, David Harper said that psychological self-confidence or self-belief, that is the only way to improve the dynamic efficiency is for entrepreneurs and whole human being is have in the other side. If I think that the government will stall the outcome of my efforts, I don't create anything. O sea, I create nothing. That's why the communist or socialist countries are poorest, even though they have a lot of foreign aid from United Nations, because no one wants to invest there, no one wants to create them, because the government or you stole that, or you don't have security in the street. Yeah. Another economist, like Peter Becky, said that culture is very important for dynamic efficiency too, because, for example, I'm from Chile. You know that in Chile is like, or the people think that Chile is like the Switzerland of Latin America, because they have a very liberal model, but the problem, and now Chile has a lot of problems, the reason, or from my point of view, is that the institution of the free market economy were imposed top down. Why the culture of the people don't change, was the same than before. So the political or economic institutions are not are not the only factor that explain the dynamic efficiency. So you need a culture change. That's why Becky and Mises and all the great Austrian economists say that the role of the economist is not be a social engineer, so is to be a scholar of the market process, and also to teach to the people in general, the businessman, the politician, because to make the cultural change, you have to teach the people the economic principles. Yeah. For example, Becky said that the difference of, or Peter Bauer too, the difference between the Plan Marshall in Europe and the foreign aid in Africa or America Latina. The difference is very clearly. The Plan Marshall reconstruct Europe, not develop the countries, because they have the culture and the, like Peter Becky said, the endogenous institutions. Finally, to close, Jesus Huerta de Soto said that dynamic efficiency needs private property. Also, private property is necessary and sufficient condition for dynamic efficiency. Necessary because if you have private property, you can make economic calculation. That's why all communist countries are a disaster, because they don't have economic calculation. And it's sufficient because if I have private property and I know that the government won't steal the outcome of my creativity, my effort, that stimulate the entrepreneurship. That's why when you see the index of economic liberty, you see that the most free countries has better position also in the competition index and the number of companies and the GDP growth too, and also in all the development index. So the suggestion for all of you, like economists and Austrian economists, is be less social engineers and more scholar and educator for the society. Thank you very much.
Have time for one or two questions? Yes. Now you can ask. Okay.
Just short.
Just one or two and then.
Okay, well, following your suggestion, don't you think that the best way to eliminate poverty, given empirical evidence that since the advent of capitalism, it went from 95% of the world to 5%, wouldn't it be to just eliminate the state, eliminate the United Nations, which is useless, and just give people freedom, I think that's the only formula. Don't you agree?
I agree. Yeah, because it's the entrepreneurship, the private sector that make wealth. The state only stole the wealth of the private sector to make charity with the other efforts. Yeah, it's logical because the state produces nothing. Yeah, and the politics are parasite too.
Yeah, I think it's of ultimate importance in this discussion, to specify the concept of human need. Mises was unambiguous concerning placing valuations on so-called ends. That is individual choice. And now when you talk about human needs, there is humans that are hungry, that are humans that need just goods and services for daily use. There is speculators. And then the question is capital, Cambridge Analytica and Steve Bannon, they created a product that was demand-based, and it created supply, and that was Cambridge Analytica, and analyzing big data to manipulate people. Is that a human need? Or I think we have to specify the distinction between a human need, general category, and then capital need and entrepreneurial need, and then speculators' needs. And that is a wholly different bag, and it has real consequences.
Yeah, it's a lot of confusion about the impact of the big data, because if the big data is static efficiency and social engineering, if I think that with big data I can know the other needs, it's impossible to break up a big company. It's impossible. Yeah, big data is another signal too, but not necessarily will you success. You will success with that.
Okay, we run out of time, so thank you, Víctor, Luis, Pavel, and Thomas.
And another thing, the big data or the artificial intelligence, that is an oxymoron. They don't create knowledge. The big data and the artificial intelligence just can make a result, a data about the past information that someone gave previously, but they can create like Star Wars.
Thank you.